If I get emotional, it's because it's the first time I'm saying it. I didn't want to heal, because if I would get better and I would let go of that pain, when you go through something like that, you ask yourself why it's you. Sorry. I told you guys I was going to cry. I'm a crier. People don't know that, but I am. Hi, I'm Christina, and welcome to Living Your Truest Self. We're here to strip away filters and dive into what it really means to living our truest self. So just in case some of you joined me on this as the first episode, I'm going to remind you about why I'm doing this. Growing up, my dad and my mom were missionaries. We moved around a lot. I was always a new kid. I felt different, trying to fitting in. And honestly, I didn't always feel like I belonged. Okay, so fast forward to today. I'm a mom raising a beautiful 9-year-old. I'm a wife, married for 20 years, and I'm come from a family of 10 brothers and sisters. So yeah, that's already a handful itself. So working a full-time job and trying to stay true to myself in a world that loves to tell us who we should be. That's why I started this podcast. I'm a Jay Shetty coach of life and success, which has been such a gift because it's helped me to see the beauty in my own journey and other people's stories. I started this podcast because I believe we're all connected. No one's better than anyone else, and every story matters, including yours. So whether you're here to find inspiration, feel a little less alone, or just hang out with someone who gets it, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today's episode is going to be even more personal, but it's one I feel deeply called to share. I wanted to talk about resilience and how some of our most painful experiences can shape our strength. I'm going to share a story of losing my second pregnancy at 6 months of gestation and how I handled that loss. If I get emotional, it's because it's the first time I'm saying it to a whole group of people, but that's okay. That was one of the hardest things I've ever faced. The grief was overwhelming, and for a long time, I didn't know how to process it. It was emotional in every possible way you can imagine. It makes you feel empty, it makes you feel a failure as a woman, a wife, a mom, because, you see a lot of stories of people that are pregnant and they have kids and everything seems so easy. But when you go through something like that, you ask yourself why it's you. Why I said second pregnancy is because I got pregnant when I was 27, actually earlier, and we lost our first before the third month. That's something that can happen, right? But I didn't think it was going to happen to me. So that was very hard, even that process of, going through that and losing your first pregnancy at 3 months isn't easy, So it took us a good 2 years before we tried again. And then when we did try again, we went through not saying anything until we got through the third month. Everything was fine. Very healthy pregnancy. We were extremely excited, and we had already had the name picked out, and everything was going great until everything just wasn't. And it was extremely hard because when they say that mother instinct, I had that feeling. I will remember the moment I lost him because I woke up the next morning later than I usually wake up. So I used to always wake up at 7:30 because he was always kicking. I ended up waking up at 8:30, and I thought that was really weird. And there was no kicks when I woke up, so I knew that something was off. Then I called, my sisters, my mom. My mom has 10 kids, and my sister has 2 kids, another one has 1. And so, I wanted to get their feedback on it. And they're like, oh, when they start getting bigger, it's okay. It can happen, right? So we thought, okay, maybe he's just bigger and today he's tired, so he's not kicking. And the next morning I went to a course about how being first-time moms and, just little courses that they hold for pregnant moms. And I told my obstetrician, I was like, look, I have a weird feeling. I can't feel him kick since yesterday. And she was like, oh no, Christina, everything's fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to see that everything is good. So we went back and she listened to the heart. And she instantly told me, go to the hospital because this is a small hospital. I think my machine is broken. So go to the bigger one, which is 20 minutes away, a bigger town. I live in Italy, so some towns are small and, it was a main town. But when she told me that, I already knew because the first time around, they also told me, oh, I can't hear correctly. So it was the same thing, and I knew something was up there. And they told us that his heart had stopped beating up until the time I felt him stop beating. So that was really hard. I wasn't ready for that, to be honest, at all. I never heard of anybody that had lost a child at that stage in pregnancy, and it was really hard. I think I made them go back to hear the heartbeat a couple times because I thought that they were wrong. I'm not going to get into all of that. This can be a story another time, but I just wanted to talk about it because I remember every moment of the pain that I went through, and it was very hard because when I came home to the empty home, I felt like I didn't want to heal, because if I would get better and I would let go of that pain, then that means that I would forget him. So I really didn't want to. I wanted to remember it, and I didn't want to abandon him. I didn't want to feel like I would forget him. But then, like, over time, I realized that healing doesn't mean that you forget, It just means that you learn to carry your pain and you move forward with grace. So through this experience, I learned that being vulnerable, I told you guys I was going to cry. I'm a crier. People don't know that, but I am. Through this experience, I learned that vulnerability is a strength, being able to cry, the good thing, you letting out emotions, and it's okay to cry and to feel everything so deeply and to go through these emotions. And I want to remind you that whatever pain you're carrying, you don't have to carry it alone. I remember the main thing through this whole thing that I wanted to feel, even though I'm the one who lost baby, I always tried to make sure that my husband was involved and that he would tell me his feelings as I would tell him mine. And I did close up a lot, but it was because I really did not have words. It wasn't because I was shutting people out. Okay. I just didn't know what to say. And it was hard. So, I didn't carry it alone. I have a big family, and I communicated a lot of it. But I don't want it to be a sad story about me, because this is supposed to be about resilience. So don't worry about how somebody else is handling the situation. If you feel like you have to go through your emotions and you want to talk about it, don't worry about the other person. And if you're making them feel uncomfortable by telling them how you feel, okay, you need to heal, and it's okay to let go. And talking does help. And if it doesn't, don't do it. But if it does, don't worry about what the other person is thinking or if the other person is uncomfortable, because that's not going to help you get through the stages you need to get through. Okay, so listen to yourself and embrace those micro moments that you might feel like you need something and ask for help. Be together with the people that you want. And if you need to be alone in your bed in a ball and cry, just go for it. But you'll see that as you go through the emotions and you express them and don't bottle them in, you'll heal. As always, I have practical tips I want to share with you, because going through big major stuff, whether it be loss or any sort of grief, is important to learn how to manage somehow. And if it can help somebody with a tip that's going through something, I want to be there for you. Number one, please allow yourself to feel. Grief is not linear. Give yourself permission to feel all of it. It's important. Let them out. 2, seek support. So, loved ones, support groups, therapists, family, friends. You don't have to go through it alone. And thank God that now we have these beautiful ways to get across to people, so we can talk to people and maybe heal a heart that is broken. And 3, honor your journey. Find yourself ways to honor your story. Don't hide it. It's something important. That's the one thing I decided I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to say I don't have a child, or I always say I have 2 kids. It's what honors that story inside of me. And I wrote in because I had a blog back in the day of cooking healthy meals, and I wrote about it. And that was probably the last post I wrote, but it helped me through my journey and honor it. So find ways to honor your story, whether it be journaling, art, simply sharing it with someone you trust or friends, or if you want to reach out to anybody else that's going through that. There's tons of groups of moms and whatever it is, you can get it out, okay? So to anyone who has experienced loss, I want you to know you're not alone. Pain is valid. Your healing is possible. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to please share your story in the comments or reach out to me directly. I would be honored to hold the space for you, because this is something I hold dear to my heart. And if there's anybody that it helps just a little bit to make you feel like you're not alone, then I'm here for you. Please like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Together, we can create a space for healing, understanding, and hope. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode, where I hope I'm not going to be crying, okay? But this is important. I got through it. I didn't think I was going to, and I love you. Thank you.